Drug Administrator, Commissioner Marty McCary, and
this is really happening, people.
Chris Klump.
Donald Trump is
And
in
we have
the Oval.
Steve.
Oh, I don't like the lighting on him at all.
Public
And
relations.
they're going to lower prescription drugs for weight loss products. Your GLP-1s. Can he do it? I don't know. He's doing it. I'm Tony Katz. The show's Tony Katz today. It's the 4 kicks. It's the mule kick kitten. This is from Crowned Heads. Let's begin a radio show. Tell your friends.
Pharmaceutical companies make 75% of their profits from their American customer. I would say that's not so good, right? It's not exactly great. To address this chronic unfairness, I signed an executive order earlier this year instructing my administration to do everything in our power to implement most favored nations drug pricing, something that has been helped greatly by tariffs, because when nations refuse to do it, we should have put this in the case yesterday. I just say, well, if you're not going to do it, we're going to charge you a like amount of tariffs. And they immediately say, we'll do it.
That's President Trump in the Oval Office, where he is announcing lower prices on those GLP-1s, lower prices on weight loss meds. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. What are you doing, everybody? Good to be with you. The 4 kicks, that's what I'm smoking. This is the mule kick from the good people at Crowned Heads. Not sponsors. I just like the cigar. Smoke them if you got them. We're going to follow what President Trump is doing here. Of course, there'll be questions asked and answered. And there's a question about whether or not this is the way you lower drug costs. Meanwhile, we'll get to that.
AstraZeneca and EMD, Serrano, have agreed to drastically lower their prices for American patients. And today, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are joining the phenomenal list of the most exciting announcements. I mean, nobody's ever had announcements like, and this has to do with other pharmaceutical products also. But we're covering this today because it's such a big seller. I guess it's the #1 selling thing there is today. These are 2 companies that behind the groundbreaking weight loss drugs that have helped millions of Americans struggling with obesity live better, longer lives, everything else. These are the 2 companies that really broke ground. Until now, neither of these 2 popular drugs have been covered by Medicare for weight loss, and they've only rarely been covered by Medicaid. They've often cost consumers more than $1,000 per month, and some a lot more than that. Americans have been spending as much as 520% more for Zepbound and 1,400% more for Wegovy than patients in Europe. Think of that. 1,400% more than a patient in Europe for the exact same box. And that ends starting today. The other countries are not happy with us. I don't think they like me too much, Bobby, but that's okay. Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk are committing to offer Zepbound and Wegovy at most favored nations rates for American patients. This will slash the cost of Wegovy from $1,350 a month to ultimately $250 a month.
They're not going to be able to keep up with the amount of people who now want Wegovy.
Good job. They don't write about it. You know, they like to not write these things. And reduce, you think Biden could have done this? I don't think so. And reduce the monthly cost of Zepbound from $1,080 to $346. In addition,
the issue, Mr. President, is we're not sure if you're able to do this. Oh, there's going to be pushback galore. Not because they're opposed to lower drug prices, but because the question is, does the president have the unilateral authority to do this? Let's get back to him.
Think of that. You go from $1,300 to $149 a month. We anticipate these new versions will be coming out in a very short period of time. All of these drugs will be available directly to the consumer at trumprx.gov. Trump, they want to use my name. Trump, it better be good. trumprx.gov. And I think it's turning out to be pretty amazing, right, us? Just as significantly, Medicare and Medicaid will finally cover the cost of these weight loss drugs for millions of patients suffering from obesity. Co-pays for Medicare patients will be as low as $50. This is tremendous savings. I mean, now you're talking about from $1,350 to $50. This is tremendous news for the American seniors. And You all remember when I had 1/8 of 1% for the year. I cut it 1/8 of, and I was so thrilled. But now we're cutting it 1,000%, 1,200%. Nobody's ever seen anything like this. Nobody else could have done it, but I say that modestly. In addition, you think it was easy dealing with these people? It wasn't. You think it was easy saying your drug, Mr. Eli Lilly, that we're selling for $1,300 is going to be sold for $250? You know the amazing thing, the stocks all went up. I mean, these guys they're fantastic. Because it's going to equalize the world. The world's a bigger place, and it's going to equalize. I was a little surprised to see that, but I'm happy about it. In addition, Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk have agreed to provide all of their other medications to Medicaid at most favored nations prices. Most favored nations, meaning that you will pay the lowest price anywhere in the world. That's what you're going to pay. Whereas before they paid low prices and we paid, thousands of percentile ahead.
By the way, the Eli Lilly stock price as of right now, as I speak, is up.
Consumers at deeply discounted prices via Trump RX.
Yeah, the Eli Lilly stock price is up right now. Basically $9.94.
In terms of giving people prices
at $940 a share. I do not own individually Eli Lilly stock. I am not aware if I own it in any level of a fund. I'm not here to endorse it. I'm giving full disclosure, just sharing what the president was discussing. Back to him in the Oval, talking about lower prices of drugs, specifically weight loss drugs.
The beautiful Obama building that he's building in Chicago for the museum, which is now shuttered up and dead. They got it up, and they couldn't finish. It's about, would you say, 5 years behind schedule? And about 2,000% over budget. Then he tells us how to run Medicaid. Many of the most widely used drugs will be available for 60% off, or even more than that. In addition, all new medications introduced by Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk to the American market will be sold at the heavily reduced most favored nations price. Most favored nations price, that's the best. Market will be sold at the heavily reduced.
Sometimes my feed will repeat like that. That's not you. You're not having a stroke.
Because they have been thousands of percent lower than what we were selling in many cases. Furthermore, Eli Lilly is investing $27 billion. That's all. And Novo Nordisk will invest $10 billion. That's all. That's peanuts. In the United States to reshore and do a big domestic manufacturing job in the facilities they're going to spend. So Eli Lilly spent $27 billion. Novo is spending $10 billion in the United States. So they're building new plant and equipment.
Understand that they're also building plants in other places. There's a story about Eli Lilly engaging a plant in the Netherlands, I believe it is. It's part of a strategy they introduced in 2020. And you're like, Tony, you seem to know a lot about Eli Lilly. They're based here where I live in Indianapolis. And so Lilly is always constantly news, and following them is kind of what you do. If we are to take this conversation and extrapolate it out, President Trump finally is getting the message, a message we have been delivering from the beginning, that you can't tell people everything is great when it's not. You have to explain to them what's happening in the economy honestly, the moves that you're making, why you're making them, and how it will help them in the long run. You have to get them on your side in a fight. They want to be a part of something. So if the argument is the Democrats won the other day because of affordability, Trump's making an argument of, well, tell people how we're making it more affordable. The drug prices is going to be one of the things you hear about in the midterms. Look at what we've done with drug prices. Look at how much more affordable this is. Look at how much more affordable that is. They're going to say we need universal health care, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren, and Republicans are going to say we've lowered the cost. You're welcome. So this is part of a larger conversation, and really a story about bad messaging and not getting the story out as we have suggested they do.
Years politicians have talked about making healthcare affordable, but my administration is actually doing it. Americans deserve the best healthcare in the world, and we're now getting the best healthcare at the lowest price. So I'd like to ask somebody who's doing a fantastic job, Secretary Kennedy, to say a few words, followed by Dr. Oz, Dr. Klump.
By the way, if Republicans are smart, you'll have more MAHA conversations, Make America Healthy Again conversations, because that success there can't be denied. And if you want to turn some female voters, this might very well be a way. So Secretary Kennedy is going to speak first.
And I can tell you that David Ricks is one of the hottest people in
Is
the
David
world.
there, the CEO of Lilly? Oh, yeah, there he is. Wait, that is him, isn't it?
His pharmaceutical.
I believe that's
the job
right
he's
there.
done with Eli Lilly is incredible. Both of these gentlemen, they really are stars in the truest sense. And
I believe that's
it's an honor to
next
have you in the White House.
to Secretary Kennedy.
Go to it, Bobby.
Secretary Kennedy to speak now.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to start by thanking you, Mr. President, for declaring war on chronic disease in this country. This is something no American president has ever done. If we want to solve the chronic disease crisis, we have to tackle it, obesity. Obesity is the #1 driver of chronic disease. 50% of our adult population are obese or overweight. It drives about 50% of healthcare costs in this country. Diabetes, cardiac diseases, we are going to see a decline because of this historic agreement. We're going to see a decline in costs, but also more importantly, in the afflictions themselves. President Trump is the friend of the forgotten American. Obesity is a disease of poverty, overwhelmingly. And these drugs have only been available for people who have wealth.
Now, what's really happening here? The White House just endorsed weight loss drugs, or as the people say, the fat shot. Right now, calls going into doctors' offices saying, I'd like to get this, are through the roof. The game just changed. It was already winning culturally, but the White House just said, you take it, kids. Whew. You'll excuse me, I have to go place my order. By the way, to the chat room, obesity is absolutely a problem of the poor, but obesity is a problem overall. And it's a problem when you don't get access to more nutritious food, nor to the ability to engage a gym or other things. So yes, it is a legitimate argument. No, it is not singularly amongst people who are poor. That much is true. We're going to hear more from the president, more from the secretary. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. I'm going to take it back to Secretary
Our
Kennedy.
children into physical activity so that we can attack the root causes of this. But in the meantime, there's nothing more important than we can do than lower this price. As I said, it is the #1 cost of all drugs. This is the biggest drug in our country. That's why this is the most important of all the MFN announcements we've made. This is going to have the biggest impact on the American people. All Americans, even those who are not on Medicaid and Medicare, are going to be able to get the same price for their drugs, for their GLP drugs. This happened because of the vision of David Ricks, of Mike Dustar, and the other people, and the people on our team who figured out a way to align the interests of the shareholders of their company with the health of the American public. And it is a momentous accomplishment. It took months and months of negotiations. And I had a wonderful conversation with Mike Dustar about his experience. And he thanked me for the caliber of people who are on our side of the negotiating team. Chris Klump, who walked away from $1 billion business in order to join this administration. Emma Hernandez, David Brooks, and of course, Dr. Oz and Marty McCary, who made this happen. They saw that this could be a win-win situation, that this was not a zero-sum game. The Biden administration tried to solve this problem unsuccessfully, I might add, by throwing $40 billion at it. And they were able to achieve an agreement that will actually create savings for the American public. So we're making all of this available at a savings, and that's because the price of diabetes prescriptions is also going to drop. And the savings that we get from that are now going to make it available to people who do not have diabetes, people who have a BMI of 27 and above, or pre-diabetic or have heart disease risk. They will be able to get it, but everybody will be able to get this drug, and it's going to change. We will lose, the American public, because of this agreement, will lose 125 million pounds by this time next year. So it is going to have dramatic effects on human health in this country. And I want to thank President Trump for his leadership. He said that I'd gotten a lot done as HHS secretary, but almost none of that is due to my ability. It's because I'm surrounded by people who are smarter than me, who are more able than me, and those people came into the administration because they were inspired by President Trump. People like Chris Klump are here because they see this.
Do you think they are smarter than you and
Yeah.
more able? No.
Believe me, they're a lot smarter than I am.
Why don't you take that job? He doesn't really mean that he's being modest, I promise you, but
It is true, unfortunately.
it's a beautiful thing.
But I want to thank you, Mr. President, because you've made me a success here by allowing me to attract these extraordinary people. And I want to again thank David Ricks, who we've been in this Oval Office again and again. You keep saying,
all right, we'll come back to the radio show.
Industry, that he could talk it to
We're going to cover this. We're going to carry it. We're going to keep jumping in. I'm glad you guys are here. I love doing this stuff. I think I'm like one of the few people who does this constantly, but we should hear it together. By the way, look at Trump just hanging back.
To pay $10 and for America to pay $140.
You might fall asleep.
That's why they make 45, 50 million a year. He did. Finally, I said, I've had it, right? You did. He did. But anybody could do that. They're entitled, but now it's down to what it should be.
And Mike Dusar told me what a pleasure it was to negotiate with people who were smart, who had common sense, who were able to put themselves in his position and hammer out this deal that is good for everybody. And it's great for the American public. I want to close again by just saying that this is a tool in the toolkit. It is not a silver bullet. It is an arrow in our quiver. It will allow a lot of people who are locked into high-risk obesity to finally lose weight, to reset, and then start doing the kind of things that will address the root causes of obesity.
That is the Secretary of Health and Human Services there, Robert Kennedy. Laudatory towards Eli Lilly and Nordisk. It's really something else. And I got to tell you, President Trump is so relaxed. Now, you say to me, Tony, what kind of thing is that to say? What I'm saying is it's noticeable. He's sitting in the chair in the Oval at his desk. And usually he's very, very upfront and attentive, and the hands kind of crossed, and he's leaning in. He is leaning back in the chair. I swear to you, if somebody handed that guy a Diet Coke with a bendy straw, you would think he was watching the grandkids playing softball on a weekend. It's a weird look. It is a weird look, and people are going to say he looks tired. I will say I think the president does look a little bit older. I think that's obvious at this stage of the game. I don't like the positioning. But that's not the story. That's what people are going to pick on. Tony Katz today. The story is they're talking about these weight loss drugs, resetting the scales, if you will, on obesity. Then, as you heard Robert F. Kennedy Jr. saying, talking about how you now focus on keeping people healthy and strong. This is a Dr. Mehmet Oz, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid, now speaking.
But it does itself clear that the real stake here is the forgotten man. President Trump, I believe you won the election because you remember the forgotten man. You speak to them, they hear you, they listen to you, and he connects well because he actually does things that materially change their lives. Secretary Kennedy spoke passionately, as he always does, about the problems with obesity. And just to put some very fine point numbers on this, obesity itself is responsible for half of all chronic disease and definitely generates more than a quarter of all the money we spend out of CMS, the $1.75 trillion that we spend annually. We need to address this tempest of dramatically increasing prices for healthcare, and you're not going to do it just by throwing money at the problem. You have to actually literally deal with the causes of the increase in price, and pharmaceutical prices are a part of that. They've been a part of it for a long time, but this president insisted that we address it. In fact, the first time I heard this directly from you, sir, was in January at Mar-a-Lago, where he took Secretary Kennedy and myself, Mr. Ricks, who you'll hear from in a second, to dinner, and demanded explanations for most favored nation pricing and what's wrong with it. And there was not a good reason against it. Now, MAHA is critical. America will have to get fit in order to right-size the healthcare system, and MAHA has the answers. It has obesity management through diet and exercise and sleep and dealing with issues related to that. And I want to say it as clear as I can. Obesity is not an absence of GLP-1 drugs. We're all clear on that. But as Secretary Kennedy said, it is an arrow in our quiver that we must use and should use.
This is a very, very smart presentation. This isn't a cure-all. But this is something that can help some people to help us then help ourselves bring down the level of cost because we're bettering healthcare outcomes. This is a good conversation and something that's been noted when we talk about the elections, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, where Democrats swept those, which also was the expected. Republicans did not avail themselves of this message. They didn't share the MAHA message, which, as we've discussed, works. It's working. Moms are appreciative. People are seeing it. This connects on a level so much deeper than anything politically. That how would I even figure out which thing it is? What policy conversation could be had? This is about whether or not you know your kids are safe. This is whether or not about you. If you're feeling trapped, you have a chance. And here they are doing it. Again, I will tell you, I don't know if the president has this authority. I don't know under which authority you force these things to happen. And there's going to be a real look at this. But if people say I can now get Wegovy, Ozempic, Zepbound, Mounjaro, whatever it is, and I can lose 24 pounds, and because of that, I have a better XYZ result, better health result, better freedom result, people are going to jump all over it. Jump all over it. Yes, as a conservative, I ask myself, how does this apply to a level of free markets? If indeed these companies are engaged via force. Now, government is force. That's all it's ever been and all it ever can be. And I am not in favor of force. I do, however, recognize that politically, this is a winner. It's a winner. And I also recognize, engaged in the postmortem of the elections, because you should always look at, okay, where'd you go wrong? And I'm learning a lot about how Winsome Sears was not a good candidate in Virginia. Didn't run a good campaign. I heard stories off the record. I can't believe the consultant class needs to be horsewhipped. But you already knew that. I'm not telling you anything you didn't already know about the consultant class. Stories, I can't say them on air. If I thought I could say them on air, I would. Stories that you will not believe and will also make you say, of course they didn't. Of course they did. You'll just, it's one of those. This subject, this MAHA subject, this health of your children, this health of you, this is a winner. As a matter of just sheer politics, this is a winning argument. So Mehmet Oz is still speaking. We are expecting to hear from the CEOs of a couple of these companies. Howard Lutnick, the Commerce Secretary, is there. Dr. Marty Makary of the FDA is there as well. And then I'm assuming Trump's going to answer questions because that's what he does, because there's a camera. There's always a camera. We're going to listen. Smoke them if you got them. Much more to get to. This is Tony Katz Today. Take it back to, let me, there we go. I was a little delayed in things. Oh. Sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Let's see. Sorry, guys. There he goes. Now we're live.
Opportunity to serve, and people are showing up. God bless you. Let me introduce now Chris Klump, who is just makes my life easier every day. I'm so proud of him.
All great deals are rooted in principles. We've talked about this before, and today we're announcing another truly great deal. I love this deal, and it's rooted in the principle of potential. This is about unlocking the full potential of every American, the grandmother, the grandfather, the father, the son, by unlocking access to affordable life-saving medications that make a meaningful difference in their lives when they need them most. That's what today delivers. It's a deal built on principle for people, for the American people, and backed by policy that works. So the most important step to getting healthy is believing that your life has value, that God meant for each of us to have purpose and joy and to live fully. And to do that, we must be good stewards of our body. And the president has been fighting to provide another tool to do just this and enable this. And it's my pleasure to get to outline the contours of the deal today. So first and foremost, customary with the three prior announcements, all of the customary most favored nation terms that you've grown familiar with apply to these two deals. So this is actually deals 4 and 5. Full Medicaid portfolios today at most favored nation prices. Shared savings from existing drug prices in Europe deployed back to the United States. All primary care drugs at U.S. net prices or most favored nation prices available on Trump RX before the end of the year. And most importantly, all future drug launches across commercial, Medicaid, Medicare, and the cash markets at most favored nation prices going forward. Now, GLP-1s. So first, under this agreement, starting doses of oral GLP-1s will cost just $149 a month for everyone. That's roughly 1/8 the cost of the list price today. For Medicare, manufacturers are voluntarily reducing their prices for GLP-1s currently used for diabetes and other covered indications to $245 per month across all doses. The savings generated from this change in prices will be used to provide new coverage to obesity and those who struggle with obesity and also have high metabolic or cardiovascular risk. Again, all for the same $245 a month. That means Americans struggling with diabetes and obesity, with heart disease, or other chronic conditions can access these life-changing drugs more affordably. Medicare patients, importantly, will only pay $50 a month for a copay. This is a massive reduction from what happens today.
Okay,
For
I gotta do that
Medicaid,
math.
Novo and Lilly have agreed to extend the same new low government pricing to all 50 state Medicaid programs should they opt in. And we encourage them to opt in, and these will be available not just for diabetes and current covered indications, but also for obesity again. And in case you're getting tired of me saying it, at the same price of $245 a month, all covered doses. On Trump RX, the average price of injectables and orals will start at $350 on average. That's compared to roughly $500 today. And that will trend down to, you guessed it, the same $245 a month over the next 24 months. That is 1/5 of the list price. It is 1/2 of the best price in the United States today. We're hoping, Mr. President, that your friend who has to travel to England to afford these drugs will no longer need to do so and can come and do it in the United States. I'll also just mention that the $149 is $1 less than what you asked us to achieve. Just gonna make sure that's clear. So I want to highlight two other really important points that make me love this deal so very much. First, this isn't about spending more, it's about spending smarter. The savings from the diabetes drug price reductions are being used in a cost-neutral way to fund the new indications for taxpayers. That's amazing, and that happens inside of that same 24-month period. It's cost neutral. We're spending the money more wisely. But second, this isn't just about lower drug prices for Americans, though it does do that, but together with physical activity, with healthy eating and diet, and where appropriate, the use of breakthrough GLP-1s, the real return on investment is healthier Americans, lower chronic disease, lower costs, we estimate by tens of billions of dollars a year, and most importantly, higher productivity. Today is about freeing Americans from the weight, literally and figuratively, that holds us back. It's about unlocking the potential of every citizen to live fully, to contribute fully, and to find joy in their health. We cannot reach our full potential as a nation if we do not reach our full potential as individuals. And we cannot reach our full potential as individuals if we are not healthy.
That is the press conference happening now in the Oval Office, talking about the reduction of weight loss drugs and how these prices will come down, how they're getting this most favored nation type of pricing. A huge announcement there with the CEOs of Lilly and other companies. Mehmet Oz for Senators for Medicare and Medicaid. Robert Kennedy is there. This is Dave Ricks of Eli
It's
Lilly.
truly an honor to be here today for this historic step forward to expand access to a class of medications that can fundamentally change the arc of chronic disease in our country. Of course, these are the incretin or GLP-1 agonist that we've been speaking about. For nearly 150 years, my company, Eli Lilly, has been investing in America. We've been advancing science and creating high-value jobs. But today, oh, you okay? Gordon, you okay?
Well, somebody there just passed out.
Yeah.
One of the people behind him just passed out right there. What happens? They're going to move the press, I assume, out of the room. Legs up. We try their very best to get blood flow going. Is, of course, going to be seen as ironic that someone would pass out while they're talking about healthcare right there. That is not surprising. That is not the announcement that they want or anybody wanted. Certainly hope that they are all right. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. That is absolutely not what you wanted to see. They were going gangbusters. And of course, I did want to hear what the CEO of Eli Lilly had to say. It happens. Standing too long, or when you're older, you didn't eat the right thing, you just feel wobbly, and they caught him. They noticed it. They caught him, legs up, get the blood flow going back. And I assume that they will, in many, many ways, reset this and continue this conversation. I hope so, because this is a very, very, very large deal. And to the idea of this working for and being a huge thing that Republicans can utilize going forward, it can't be said enough. Cannot be said enough that this has tremendous value for Republicans going into those midterm races. And those midterm races already have to be focused on. We've been talking about this. We have been talking about this for months. November 3rd, 2026. That's all there is. That we have to be focused on how that is going to work, how that is going to come together. This brings us to the idea of the election postmortem. And I have been covering this stuff and following this stuff for a long time. I have never seen Republicans so quick to agreement. The agreement, yep, we screwed up on the affordability conversation. Yeah, we messed it up. This is on us. We did it. It's our fault. I'm sorry, what now? Oh, yeah, no. This is 10,000% on us. We did this wrong. I don't care who you're talking to. I've got National Review. Affordability will be everything in 2026. I have got, where do I have it? The op-ed from Vivek Ramaswamy in the New York Post. Tuesday's elections were a GOP wake-up call for these two reasons. One, economics. One, the culture war. Now, this gets kind of interesting because this is not wholly accurate. Vivek Ramaswamy, the former presidential candidate, the gubernatorial candidate in Ohio, he writes, too many Americans feel like they can't afford a decent life. When costs have risen faster than wages over the last half decade, we can't hide from the problem because it isn't going away. The Biden administration aggressively pushed the idea that wages are going up, wages are going up, wages are going up. Look at us, wages are going up. This is terrific. Wages are going up. But it did not connect to the price of things going up. So you could talk about wages going up from now until the end of time. It didn't matter. Everything cost too much. And it was believed that everything cost too much. Now, that second part matters because even if there was a product under Biden that didn't actually go up, the feeling was everything was more expensive. Inflation made it that way. The feeling is things still cost too much today under Donald Trump. I don't care what Scott Bessent says. I don't care what argument the Treasury Secretary makes. Who cares? The feeling is there. And you say to me, well, the price of eggs has come down. The price of gas has come down. I say both those things are great. Someone said health insurance costs have come down. I don't know about that. But you feel like you're paying more for your electric bill. You're paying more for your car insurance. Some people tell you car insurance has come down. I don't believe that. And oh my gosh, property taxes. And the everyday thing. I hang out with a unique group of people. And I don't hang out with people in my industry. I just don't. I have friends in my industry, but I don't hang out with them on the regular. I hang out with people who are entrepreneurs. I like people who create. I like people who build things. The producers of society, different industries and in different places. In these conversations with these people who are outrageously successful, I've heard more about the cost of everything than I have in all the time I've known them. That's an anecdotal conversation. I hear you. The cost of everything. And one of them was telling a story that because they're in the food business, food-related businesses, they were testing out what somebody else has to offer, and they ordered a sandwich from one of these places that you can order a sandwich from. They had it delivered. It was a sandwich, and it was a bag of potato chips, and it was a 2-liter bottle of soda. They wanted to see how it all came up. Anyway, that bill was, what was it, $35 or was it $50? The point is it was over $30 for a sandwich, a 2-liter of soda, and chips. We have argued on this show before, and I use argument for argue for a lack of a better word. I don't mean we're arguing. I have stated on this show before that part of what keeps society at ease is being able to do the everyday things. The everyday things matter and matter greatly. And if one cannot do the everyday things, everything goes to hell in a handbasket. The everyday things involve being able to take your kids out for ice cream. It involves going out to dinner every now and again. And it's not to the finest steakhouse in all the land. It's to the Texas Roadhouse. And sure, there are better cuts of meat, but they bring it to you and there are rolls and they refill your drink and they take care of you and you feel like a person. You feel like a person. If you are at the local Wendy's, you ever go to the Wendy's? And I call it the Wendy's because I don't know why. It's just Wendy's. And you can see a white father with his white son dipping French fries into a Frosty. And then at another table, you can see a black father with his black son dipping French fries into a Frosty. The connective tissue is that this is something I could afford to do with my kid. I don't know how much each one makes. I'm talking about the moment when you cannot afford those moments, when you cannot afford to take the family out to dinner, when you cannot afford to go with the wife to the Texas Roadhouse. Then you start asking, what the hell am I working so hard for? You start asking, what is this? What am I doing here? Why am I busting my hump here? The basics make everything okay, because in that moment you take a breath and you're like, all right, I'm doing things right. Doesn't really take much. Never has. Too many Americans feel like they can't afford a decent life. Yes, and it's because these costs are still indeed too high. That is true, and that needs to be addressed, not through the nonsense policies of Mamdani or any of these progressives, but through recognizing where the issues are and keying in on them. Ramaswamy then gets into the idea that you can't focus on the cultural issues. This is not true. The cultural issues matter greatly. It's just they don't replace en toto pocketbook issues. And that seems to have been a Winsome Earl Sears problem in Virginia. And that could be other people's problems. Living the life that allows you to feel like it's worth it. That has to be the focus. Bill Clinton, when he wasn't dilly-dallying, if you know what I mean, had it right. It's the economy, stupid. That's all it is. Focus can bring victory. This is Tony Katz today. Welcome back, everybody. Tony Katz today. Good to be here. Good to be with you. I don't know if they're going to reschedule the rest of that presser. I really hope they do. I do want to hear from Rick's of Eli Lilly. I understand why they clear the room out. I'm still trying to get the name. I can picture him. In the room who passed out. Listen, it's happened before, it'll happen again. You know, it's got to be a little bit embarrassing. for sure. But there's this story, it matters. And it matters greatly. And so I'm trying to, I'm trying to even find it on social that I have nobody talking about it. I'm searching for it just to see. Let's see. Nope, don't have it yet. Yeah, I don't have it. I can't. I don't know his name, and it's killing me because I can see it in my head. By the way, Culver's custard is excellent. It is. It truly is. And oh, you better believe Nicaraguan cigars. This is such a problem. This 100% possibility of tariffs against Nicaragua. Ooh. Ooh. By the way, you've got the argument wrong here regarding cuts. If you do not put into the equation the development of AI and AI tools that have replaced jobs, not necessarily that they should, if that is not in your equation, you're not being honest about what it is you're saying. Now, people will utilize this and say, my gosh, Trump is losing jobs. Look at all the jobs. There is a massive also investment going on in AI. So what is it that we value more? You can decide to be cheap, or you can decide to engage with me. But it turns out you can't do both in this world. You come for the king, you best not miss. I'm saying be honest in totality about your conversation, and we'll do just fine. But yes, 22-year record. 22-year record, but it is not a specific economic, about this economy issue, right? Regarding any other policy. Change is coming. All right, let's go. So Nancy Pelosi has decided not to run for re-election. Okay. So I guess she's made enough money for her retirement fund. She doesn't need it anymore. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. Good to be here. I'll have more on that coming up in a little bit. This story about Marshawn Nealand. So he plays for the Dallas Cowboys. He had a huge game on, was it Monday night? They're playing the Cardinals. He's defensive end. Scored his first touchdown. Took his life this morning. At the age of 24. Now, there are still stories coming out. A history of mental illness, a possibility of an interaction with the police, DPS in Texas saying that its officers attempted to stop a vehicle for a traffic violation at 10:33 p.m. Vehicle did not stop. An unsuccessful pursuit unfolded. It's a horrifying story. To already be in a bad place and to think, oh my gosh, to the cops, and now it's over. And ask your kids how they're doing. Ask your spouse how they're doing. Ask your friends how they're doing. It's not weak. It's not. It is not. There is a suicide prevention hotline. It's now a 3-digit 988. Don't ever think you're not worth it. Not for a second. That is untrue. This is Tony Katz today. So here's what we've got, guys. We have much more show to do. I don't have a word on if the president is going to come back to this presser. I'm really hoping he does. I want that for all of us. There's so much to dig into. And I want to hear from the CEO of Eli Lilly. And I am hoping that we get this chance. I'm hoping we get this opportunity. So if the president does come back to the presser, we will continue with that. Right now, the radio show's in break, so we'll take the break. My advice is smoke them if you got them. I got them, so I'm smoking them. Right? Hang loose. Be cool. Get some ice cream. What? It's a good idea. I might get some ice cream. All right? Keep it here, guys. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Tony Katz. Tony Katz today. What is going on with everybody? Good to be with you. Back a little bit early, but I missed you. So, yeah. I came back, boo. That's how it works. I just can't quit you. Much to get to. We'll get to the flight reductions. We'll get to Nancy Pelosi. We'll get to the silly infighting that has taken place regarding these what's going on with the elections. Let me get to that. Let me put it over here. There we go. Because seeing it's not about being a fan or not a fan or anything else. It's that I get called an influencer, and I don't think I am. I think I'm a host, and I think there's a real different thing there. But I guess, everyone has an opinion. I'm not going to agree with every opinion and move on with my day. But it's undoubtedly true on every level. I think Megyn Kelly is completely mistaken. And I think her argument is suspect at best. I think her defense of Tucker is suspect at best as well. By the way, I do not call for Tucker Carlson to be deplatformed at all or in any way. But you had on Nick Fuentes, and you didn't ask a tough question, and you excused the bigotry, and that's just messed up. And if you can't handle the hits on that, I don't know what to tell you. You're not as tough as I thought. You've gone down this road. I think it's weird. I think it's ugly. I don't think it's weird. I think it's ugly. I think it's obscene. I think it's gross. I think it's Ilhan Omar-esque. No, I am not impressed. Just not. And you might agree or disagree with me on that. That's fine. That is completely fine. I'm still looking to see if they are going to reschedule this thing. They have not yet. They have not yet. The president's announcing a lowering of prescription drug prices on weight loss drugs. And everybody was there to talk about it. And the CEO of Eli Lilly had just started speaking when one of those in attendance collapsed. Oh, it's the chief executive of Novo Nordisk. That is Gordon Findlay, Findlay, passed out. So Dave Ricks is asking, hey, are you all right? And then Dr. Oz, being doctor first, walked over and literally caught him as he was falling kind of straight down. And immediately it was lay him down, legs up to get the blood flow going properly. That's it. So that's who that was. Gordon Findlay, Findlay, who passed out. I swear to you, I hope that's all it is. I really, truly do. Trust me, he did not want to be at this at this event and being the guy who's like, here, let me stop this important conversation from happening. He did not want to be that guy at all. No way. So we have a reduction in flights. You have Sean Duffy, who is the transportation secretary, stating quite clearly, we can't afford, because of this government shutdown, we cannot afford to keep everybody afloat. We cannot afford to keep everything going the way we want it to. So we are going to have a cut. And this cut is going to be pretty big. Pretty big indeed.
In regard to air traffic control, we've had a conversation over the course of the last month about some of the challenges that we're having in the airspace. Many of you know that we are 2,000 controllers short, air traffic controllers short, and we have surged our academy to bring more controllers into our system. We are 20% up in controllers through the academy thus far this year. I've also offered air traffic controllers who are of the age of retirement a 20% upfront cash bonus to actually stay on. Some of the best controllers we have don't retire, keep working for us. All of that has been reducing the pressure on the staffing side of air traffic control. It's working, but it takes years to bring more well-trained certified controllers into the airspace. The shutdown is having an impact on our ability to maintain those numbers and dent that 2,000 shortage that we have.
We agree with that. We see this. We're already seeing flights be delayed. We're already seeing the wait times increasing. And he's right. We're trying to get people into these academies to turn them into air traffic controllers, but you can't rush it. It's like bourbon. True, if I pour the right mixture of 51% corn into a barrel and then right out of a barrel, the barrel being of American oak, first use and charred, that by the definition of the law is bourbon. But if I want it to be straight bourbon, it has to be 2 years in the barrel. Them be the rules, ladies and gentlemen. You can read those. You can get my book, Let's Go Bourbon, available at Amazon.com. It's the rules. It's the law. You cannot rush it. If you want straight bourbon and utilizing the designation straight bourbon, 2 years in the barrel, allowing the oak to infuse the juice. You cannot rush these things. And the last thing in the world we would ever want are air traffic controllers who got rushed through the system. Don't want that in the slightest. So it's clear that we have this problem and that the shutdown is continuing the problem. The question is, are the Democrats seriously considering extending the shutdown? Now, what we had heard time and again was that Democrats were going to end this. They were going to end this all after the No Kings rally. They were going to keep the shutdown going for the No Kings rallies and really try and get a good crowd out there, and then they would end it. And then it continued. We're like, ooh. Okay, it's continuing. And then they said, you know what? The election's going to come. We're going to get people excited for the election with these lockdowns. I'm sorry, this shutdown. And they also get people excited with lockdowns. That's who they are. And then, all right, we'll be done. And then they win the elections. And now, as we all know, the political left always overplays their hand. They are saying, hey, we won. I think we should keep this shutdown going and keep this fight over Obamacare subsidies going. The Obamacare subsidies work as follows. Obamacare was a terrible idea built on a lie. Barack Obama lied to all of America about your health care plan and your doctor, and they're still lying. They are liars. This didn't work. It never worked. Can't work. Government-run healthcare doesn't work. Well, Tony, what about European nations? Smaller countries with that level of taxation, maybe, but you don't get into the conversation of who is told, I'm sorry, you are not worth saving because according to our actuarial table, you're too old to help. Why don't you do us all a favor and die already, you bastard? That's the argument of the universal healthcare elitists. That's their argument. Die quickly. Now, if you are somebody who remembers your history, a recent history, there was a congressman from Florida, a leftist. His name was Alan Grayson. Alan Grayson was an insane progressive. before we had insane progressives everywhere. He is currently running in the U.S. Senate special election in Florida. He has done a lot of running, and he has lost a lot of times. But he has spent time in Congress, and he is the guy who said that the Republicans' health care plan is for you to get sick and die quickly. Get sick and die quickly. The signs are there. They're out there. The videos exist. If we are honest about what happens in these socialist nations, you are nothing more than an equation, and that equation determines whether or not you get care or not. And even if you have an issue, you might not be able to see the person you want to see for another year, whether that's Canada, whether it's the UK, using those as the example. We know this to be true, and we know this to be factual. We don't have to present it with any other type of consideration or question. We know this. The Democrats believe in Obamacare, and what they believe in is extending subsidies. Well, first, if Obamacare was so great and lowered so many costs, why do you need subsidies? I'll save that for another day. The Obamacare subsidies sunset at the end of 2025. This is because of the legislation known as the Inflation Reduction Act, which was put forth and signed during the Joe Biden era. I say the Joe Biden era, not the Joe Biden presidency, because was he actually president? I kid, I don't kid. And so the Inflation Reduction Act had these subsidies that sunset at the end of 2025, a piece of legislation voted on by Democrats. They voted for this. They said, we understand that the Obamacare subsidies will sunset in December of 2025. And now they have the audacity to say Republicans are destroying healthcare. Look at the Republican healthcare crisis. I must admit, if you are somebody who buys into that lie, I feel for you. But I don't have much time to feel for you because I don't really feel too much for liars, for frauds. I don't do it. I'm not about to do that. That seems criminally insane to me. So I'm not going to make that happen in my life. There is some people doing some weird work by the studio. So if you hear a weird thing in your microphone, you're not crazy. Good Lord. Somebody's got to get that machine taken care of. So they have decided that they have to continue the subsidies, and this was worth a government shutdown. The election victory in Virginia, where not only did they elect Abigail Spanberger as their governor, they elected an attorney general who said he wanted to kill a Republican Speaker of the House and fantasized about killing that Republican's kids. That's who Democrats vote for. We better be running on that going into the midterms. They think that these wins in Virginia and New Jersey and New York are so powerful that why should they stop the shutdown? Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. Let's keep building on this. Let's keep growing on this. Let's continue this. The air traffic controllers aren't getting paid. You'll have less and less of them, and pretty soon you won't have anybody actually there to direct the planes. And Mima will not be there for Thanksgiving. Diane was coming up. My mother is scheduled to come up. Oh, that conversation is going to happen today. You know that there's a 50-50 chance you're not going to be able to make it. There will be no flights. Just letting you know right now. Letting you know as we speak. What? I put my mother on a plane and all of a sudden the plane gets diverted somewhere and I got to worry about how she's going to be doing and where she's going to be spending the night and everything else? Yeah, it's going to be a real problem. I don't think I want that. And I don't think many people want that. Oh, there are going to be SNAP benefits that 50% of which are going to be given out because that's the money left in the kitty, but they won't be there next month. I mean, if they're going to extend this And then they have the lack of shame and say, look at what Republicans are doing. If you lie enough, you can get a message across. You can. It's clear. The Democrats have decided that if they can get more power, they do not care who they hurt. This is what they're telling you. It's clear as day. And so the message here has to change from the Republicans. And the message has to get much more aggressive about what it is they're doing. You must now put them on a full level of defense. I think Speaker Johnson's done a good job with the messaging. Republicans have done a good job with the messaging. You're now in a different spot, and the messaging has to change. Look what they're willing to do. Look what they are willing to do. Listen to how they even phrase it. End the Trump shutdown. What does this have to do with Trump? This is a Senate thing. Chuck Schumer with a straight face. It's Trump's fault. He's the guy in the Senate keeping Democrats from voting. There's a belief that 12 Democrats will come over and there'll be some spending bills that happen. And then there'll be a later vote on Obamacare subsidies, which I've always said Trump is going to do because wants to be seen as, look, I care about you. Like, it's the populist thing to do. And I don't want it, but he's going to do it. Democrats want power more than they want air. They don't care who they hurt in the process. So get ready. This is going to be a thing. And while I want it to end soon, I'm not putting my money down on it. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. Why, hello, trolls. How you doing? Welcome to the show. I'm Tony Katz. Good to be with you. You can tell Tony has no self-awareness or ability to hold himself accountable on anything. Okay, what are you alleging I did now in the Senate, to which I am not a member? I'll wait. First of all, did you call yourself swanky? Nice. Secondly, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, wait, were you the same person who said this is a Republican shutdown and the polls show it? Yeah. Okay. Are these the same polls that showed Kamala Harris winning the general election? Are these the same polls in Iowa in the last weekend that showed Kamala Harris going from 16 points down or 15 points down to 5 points ahead? Same polls, right? Good. I'm glad we had this talk. I feel better. I just want to know. So I'll wait. Wait for that. No one said, oh, wait, I know this. I know this one, Landon. I don't know the dude. A troll on X. An X troll. Yes. Oh, this is the guy who calls me Low T Tony. Huh? Low T Tony? That's what he calls me. Like, exactly why am I supposed to pay attention to you? What's the point? What's the point, Chuck? I don't know what to say. What is the point of you going at me, and then you expect me to respond to you like you're normal? People are weird, man. Totally weird. You understand that, right? Like you did this. You go with the full-on assault and attack, and you're like, Tony Katz won't talk to me. He's too afraid to talk to me. That fat bastard. Do you not hear yourself? It's J.D. Vance to Martha Raddatz. Do you hear yourself? God almighty, I love this show so much. By the way, I built an entire career. If you don't know this, especially when I first started out, and everyone was doing internet radio, and I was doing terrestrial radio and putting myself on stations. I didn't take calls. I don't know if you know that or not. And one of the reasons I don't take many now is that I didn't train myself that way. I trained myself to be able to engage on the topics and in the segments. And a lot of people they rely on callers for everything. And I'm just not built that way. I'm not opposed to callers. You're more than welcome to call in. 833 got Tony. But it's always amazing that these guys, do this stuff, reach out this way. And then they think that they're somehow engaged in something logical. If it was nothing more than me laughing at trolls for 3 hours a day, I could think of nothing easier. Like maybe that's the next show. Troll giggle. Well, I think troll giggle is a term in Urban Dictionary. I might need to change the name. But I mean, we could do this. If you guys want to do a show where we do nothing but mock trolls all day, I'm down. I am so into that. Maybe like a once a week thing. We'll bring out some friends, like dirty, raunchy, all the things I don't do. We will absolutely do this. I'm pretty sure during the break I came up with a new show. Would you or would you not watch Troll Giggle? I'll explain what it is. Sydney Sweeney is in the news. Or she was in the news. Because, she did that ad. And that ad is for the American Eagle jeans. And it's Sydney Sweeney has good genes. People are like, oh my gosh, this is a Nazi ad. Wait, she's wearing jeans and she looks damn good in the jeans because she has a body that won't quit. Why is that a problem? She, like I, have a body that won't quit. What is the issue? You know I'm hot. Yeah, you do. How you doing? Yeah, that's right. Tony Katz today. Did I make it weird? Excellent. Find everything at TonyKatz.com. And so she had done this interview, and so I haven't heard the audio yet. So the audio is now here. So do me a favor, there, producer Landon, finger on the dump button. I doubt there's any cursing. But she's asked about the good genes ad, right? Sydney Sweeney has good genes, and people thought that this was a kind of Nazi thing, and sure, because she's blonde and white, and oh gosh, everybody's so angry all the time. This is what happened.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
Wait, that was it? That's the whole clip? Oh, I thought we had more. Because the look in her eye said, I'm so much hotter than you, interviewer. I shouldn't even have to be here. I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear. That's fine. That's an answer. I think the real issue is everybody's angry about everything all the time, everywhere, and in every way. Angry always. And I admit that I put a lot of this on the ginning up of the anger. Now, I get accused of this. Oh, you're a radio host. You gin people up to anger. And, it's a shtick. And it's all about the money. And look who's funding him. I have sponsors, and they're great. And you should utilize them every day. And when I get paid for something, I say the words. I don't hide anything. I cannot believe, and I do not believe, that every person who's speaking in every forum is doing so because they're getting paid. The idea that, oh, when I say it, it's from the heart, but when they say it, it's because they're being paid. It's just such cheap garbage trash as to be believed. Do I believe that people engage in certain ways because it helps them with certain audiences, or that people say things because it's going to gin up a level of controversy, and controversy brings viewership? Yes, I do. I think it happens very often with the influencer class. And I don't think of myself in that way. I think the host is different than the influencer. I do believe that. I've got different rules I have to follow, everything else. But maybe some people don't, and I don't know if I can convince them thereof. But the reaction to the election has been so much, it's like the Spider-Man meme, finger pointing, and everyone's pointing at everybody else. Do we understand that it's not the end of the world? And I have some data to go over, which is extremely important as we continue the postmortem of the election. Republicans lost. They lost in New York. They lost in Virginia. They lost in New Jersey. Maybe they didn't have good candidates. Maybe they didn't have the right message. Maybe, like in the case of the Virginia Attorney General, the people of Virginia are gross. Gross. And we have to work on turnout. But there's this anger, panic, who can I grab to my fiefdom? It's not helpful. It's valueless. Unless, of course, you're the person grabbing people to your fiefdom. I will get into that story. And why Nancy Pelosi not running for re-election is a story. Keep it here. I'm Tony Katz, and this is Tony Katz Today. Welcome back, Tony Katz. That's me, Tony Katz Today. Wait, do I have any more? No. All right, now the troll's just gotten lame. That's too bad. That's it with trolls. You know, they start off with a big swing and then they just got exhausted. They never did their cardio. That's really the story. Yeah, they never do. They never do, producer Landon. That is the case. The president's back. Knew he would be. That guy does not disappoint. Knew that he would come back. Oh. And there's Dave Rick speaking right now. Let me get this going.
So as drug coverage expands, so does choice. And data shows that medicines work differently for different people. Some are better for some, weight loss and weight maintenance. And we really believe that doctors and patients should choose the best option. So it's important that this deal includes both of the leading innovators and manufacturers of this transformational new class of medicines. Medicare coverage is a milestone, but it's probably only the beginning. We call on states, on employers, on commercial insurers, even PBMs, to join and expand coverage at affordable prices for all Americans. And Lilly stands ready to partner across the healthcare system to make that happen. Just as we've achieved this partnership with Chris and Inma and John, who helped us from CMS to make this day possible. And we're anxious to get started with this. As early as April 1, this coverage can begin for our medicines and Novo's medicines. And I just want to say it's hard to overstate the impact of this day. It's really a turning point in the fight against chronic disease and a landmark achievement for President Trump and Secretary Kennedy, as well as, of course, our company. But most importantly, it empowers people to take control of their own health, to eat well, to exercise, of course, avoid harmful substances, and where appropriate, in consultation with your doctor, access affordable now obesity medications that are really a breakthrough. And we believe that when America is healthy, America is strong. And at Lilly, our goal is the same here, to invest in science, invest in our country, deliver breakthrough medicines, and reduce and then prevent chronic disease, all to make our country strong for generations.
That's the CEO of Eli Lilly, Dave Rick, speaking in the Oval Office. This was a press conference that had started earlier with announcing the reduction of prescription drug prices for weight loss drugs. Tony Katz today. Good to be with you. As Secretary Kennedy spoke, Dr. Oz, who runs Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services. And while they were speaking, the CEO of Novo Nordisk, passed out. Had a health episode. They canceled. They stopped the press conference right there, and then they've now come back to it. So that was just Dave Ricks of Eli Lilly. So we're going to see the reduction of those prices and some other drug prices, not just the weight loss drugs. And now more people are speaking about what is happening with this pricing. As I said earlier, one of the big conversations, of course, is can the president just say you're lowering the price of drugs and engage a level of government threat like that? Because that's one way it can be seen. We should be honest about that. It's different to say, hey, this is costing too much. We can make great changes here. You can still profit. I do believe in drug companies making a profit. Oh, yes, I do. Tony, they only cost them 30 cents to make a pill. That's the second pill. The first pill cost $10 billion. Profit motive means innovation. It's good. It's better. And the people who don't want profit motive, they can go enjoy city-run bodegas by Zoran Mamdani in New York starting on January 1st. It's interesting what's happening here. And as I have argued, there is 100% a connect here between these actions regarding the MAHA movement, Make America Healthy Again, and electoral victory in the midterms come November 3rd, 2026. That is absolutely true. There are some other speakers speaking right now.
It is very, very important that we're making this deal today. We're able to stand here with you, President, and your team to ensure broad, affordable access for all American patients, and that is truly exciting. It means not only providing hope, but also providing unique medicines to help Americans live healthier lives and longer lives. Novo Nordisk is proud to be an American success story. As a leader, in manufacturing, research, and creating a lot of jobs. Currently, we have already invested $24 billion over the last 10 years here. And these investments have created more than 10,000 jobs. And they have generated $21 billion of GDP just in 2024 alone. And today, as I'm standing here talking, cranes are up, as you would like to say, in North Carolina, because we're just expanding our North Carolina manufacturing site once again with $4 billion additional US dollars.
Now, if there is expansion of drug manufacturing in the United States, this is very, very good. Be clear, it cannot be only in the United States. If we are smart and recognize what it means to have a healthy supply and manufacturing chain, logistical chain of these drugs that we utilize in America to stay healthy and strong, alive in some cases, it cannot be all in one spot, because if that spot has some level of inability to get raw materials or has some kind of natural disaster to it, you stop the supply altogether. You need to have supply from other spots. Please stop thinking that it only could be in America, all in America, every last bit of it in America. Bad idea. Daft idea. I was going to say something far worse, but I decided to clean it up for you because I love you, kitten. Not smart. We need things in other places. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't welcome more manufacturing.
Ozempic or Wegovy can access the affordable medication, so they don't need to go and get an unapproved compounded knockoffs version of it. Once again, I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to you, Mr. President, and to the whole administration for making America great again and allowing affordable access to many millions of patients living with diabetes and obesity. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
I'm not sure his name. I'm not sure who he is. I'm not sure who else is speaking or if the president just going to start signing. But Marty Makary of the FDA has not spoken. He's going to the
Thank you, Mr.
microphone
President.
right now.
This is an amazing day because people talk about different ways to finance the broken healthcare system. This is fixing the broken healthcare system by dealing with two root causes: the price of goods and services, something hardly anyone talks about, and the health of the population. So today the FDA is announcing, as part of its new national priority voucher program, that both Lilly and Novo Nordisk will be receiving a voucher for a priority review, because they're doing something in this administration's national priority interest, lowering the price of drugs to make them affordable, in line with the president's mission, and domestic manufacturing and addressing a public health need. These are 2 of 6 products that we are announcing today. Treatments for cancer that are unbelievable. They are incredibly promising. A rectal cancer treatment that has melted away tumors with no need for surgery or chemo or radiation. We're interested in therapies that reduce downstream healthcare utilization. They'll be getting a voucher for a review by the FDA in weeks instead of a year. So we're serious. We're doing everything we can to incentivize this. So I think this is not.
I'm going to let Dr. Makary continue speaking. The president's going to sign some paperwork and probably answer questions from the press. I will carry that for you as well. Keep it here. Don't go anywhere. I'm Tony Katz. This is Tony Katz Today. We're going to go back to the presser here, and I'm assuming
insurance
we're going to get into the Q&A part of
private
this.
insurance,
President
Medicaid
Trump.
more
And this stuff
affordable,
is the
Medicare
stuff
more affordable,
that
and
moves people,
healthcare in general.
regardless of your
more affordable.
politics.
Thank you, Mr. President.
This guy do a good job of getting it out there. There you go.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said you were able to get this deal done and so many others because of tariffs. Yesterday at the Supreme Court, the case being heard, the justices expressed some skepticism. What is your plan if
It's a tariff
they end
question.
up making a decision that's not in your favor?
Well, I'd rather discuss that later. I hope we're going to win that case. I think it's one of the most important cases in the history of our country. So much evolves around tariffs as a defensive mechanism for our country, as national security for our country. So I don't want to really discuss a ground two. This is so important. If you look at China, and I covered this yesterday, but if you look at China, by putting a large 100% tariff over and above the tariffs they already paid, they came to the table, they talked, we made a wonderful deal for everybody. Our farmers, as you know, with the soybeans at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We we were able to make phenomenal deals. If we didn't have the tariffs, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So we thought we did very well yesterday. We hope that we did. I think it would be devastating for our country, but I also think that we'll have to develop a game 2 plan. We'll see what happens. Most people tell me we did very well legally.
I don't know about that. William Jacobson thinks it's closer. I'll get to that.
New tariff announcements before a decision from the Supreme Court?
This is the best one, and we can do other things, but they're slow by comparison. Like as an example, with the 100%, I was able to do it instantaneously when we were threatened by the rare earths, as you know, the magnets. And I did it instantaneously. It was a matter of seconds. And it was a matter of seconds that I got a phone call, let's work this out. We would have had not nearly the defense that we had. It would be a shame. It would be somewhat catastrophic for our country. I have to be honest with you. I don't want to get too much involved, but what we've done, we're taking in hundreds of trillions of dollars. If you take a look at the numbers we're at $17 trillion right now. We're going to be at $21 trillion, about $21 trillion by the time I finished my first year. Biden, as an example, the Biden administration was at less than $1 trillion for 4 years. We're going to be at $21 trillion for 1 year. In the history of the world, there's never been a country that's done that. Not China, not the U.S., not anybody. And a lot of that is because of the tariffs and the fact that the president is a competent president that knows how to use them. And I use them for national defense. Of the 8 wars I ended, I would say 5 or 6 were ended because of tariffs. I give you an example.
You're not going to get an argument with me about that, Mr. President, but that should be the tactic. You're using them as policy, and you're basing them based on trade deficits, and this is the part that's driving me nuts. I want to be with you. You're making it hard on this subject.
And 8 planes were shot down. And I said, listen, if you guys are going to fight, I'm going to put tariffs on you. And they both went, they were not happy about that. And within 24 hours, I settled the war. If I didn't have tariffs, I wouldn't have been able to settle that war. So it's great national defense. And you have to be quick moving. You can't wait around for months and months while you're doing studies and you're doing all of this, or go back to Congress. Look at Congress. We can't even get a continuation from Congress. Think of that. How did I have to go back to Congress you have to do the spur of the moment. Because just so you understand, we're hit spur of the moment. Other countries have used tariffs to absolutely, they would have destroyed us. If I didn't come along, our country would be destroyed right now. The tariffs have made us rich. In terms of national security, they've made us secure. And if you have economic strength, that's also, if you have a lack of economic strength, that's national security also. But we have great national security because of those tariffs. So I think it would be devastating if we lost that ruling.
But before those issues are ruling, it could be several weeks. Are you going to lay out any new additional tariffs before?
I don't want to talk about it. I'm going to hope that we win. I can't imagine that anybody would do that kind of devastation to our country.
Coming back to the radio show,
we
guys.
have to
Glad you're here. Really thank you.
Trillions of dollars.
Every day.
We've taken in trillions. We haven't taken in billions. We've taken in trillions of dollars. We've made trade deals based on that give us, as an example, European Union, $950 billion. Japan, $650 billion. South Korea, $350 billion. Without this, we're not talking about that kind of money. And they're okay. They're satisfied. They love us. I just left.
President Trump speaking at this press conference as they were talking about the lowering of prescription drug prices. And the first question was about tariffs. The Supreme Court case there, the arguments that were made yesterday. I don't think it went super great for President Trump. William Jacobson, Cornell law professor, legalinsurrection.com, says it's much closer than I think. And I spoke with him in depth. You can catch that interview there if you follow me on YouTube, youtube.com/Tony Katz, and subscribe, but I'll share it with you coming up in the next hour for the radio side. Very, very interesting stuff. The president answering questions, and now answering questions about drug prices.
Ensure that at worst, prices are at MFN on GLP-1s and are committed to continue to negotiate those prices down based on volume, just as they do in any other instance. Another really interesting thing we're seeing, though, is that commercial plans and PBMs increasingly are enabling access for their beneficiaries, their patients, to make purchases in the cash market and then still receive coverage under their accumulators and their deductibles. And so we're building that capacity, and absolutely, Trump RX is being built to enable just that behavior and drive transparency in the process.
Mr. President, there are so many Americans that report tremendously positive results from these drugs. What real-world impact do you think this will be? Is there an estimate on how many Americans may now take these drugs? And also about the informed consent on side effects. There are lawsuits against these companies that some people experienced damage to their gut health, vision loss, and other potentially serious side effects there. So how will we ensure Americans are able to make the best choice of the risk versus the rewards?
Well, I'll let them speak about the side effects, but I've heard about very little side effects with respect to these drugs. I mean, it's all positive, and that's usually not the case. I mean, usually you hear bad things.
Check with
you
your
see
doctor.
These crazy commercials on television.
Say the words,
where they
Mr.
tell you
President.
15 different things that can go wrong, and then you're supposed to buy it. Very few, but I'll let you handle that.
At a high level, 1 in 3 people who can hear my voice are eligible for these medications. That's the magnitude of impact. And we believe, just to reemphasize, we will actually save the American taxpayer money if people use these drugs appropriately for the duration for which they're indicated. There are always going to be side effects of anything strong enough to help you, strong enough to hurt you. The question is the trade-off worth it? We know the ravaging risks of obesity and all downstream issues ranging from diabetes and hypertension to renal failure, dementia, heart disease, my specialty. But I'll ask Dave Ricks from Lilly to maybe start off, because he can give an honest appraisal of potential risks people should be aware of. There's no free cheese.
Oh, thank you. I mean, today, as you may know, there's about 8 million people benefiting from the 2 companies' medications. This new announcement will make that tens of millions that could benefit from it. So it's a huge improvement. But as the previous question, we need commercial plans and other insurers to step into this arrangement. I think probably both companies will work hard to make sure that happens. Yeah, as Dr. Oz said, no drug that can help you has no side effects. Most of them are well known. We've been using this class of medications for nearly 20 years. And that's why it's important that patients go to their doctor and decide together whether this is right for them, and their doctor knows their medical history and has the information about these medications. But we're confident in the safety, but there's always some precautions we should have, and people's own medical histories matter in that decision.
And people have to be responsible for their own health care, 10,000%.
Say is also that, of course, in my speech I made a comment that what happened today allows us and Lilly to provide medications to millions and millions more than they are getting it today. Today, a lot of those patients are trying to go out there and take the knockoff versions of these medications, mainly because they were cheaper than our medication. With the reduction of the price, hopefully many of these patients don't need to choose their safety over their wallet, and now are able to find the real thing at a very decent price.
Is that a big problem for you? Knockoffs? Sounds like it might be.
It has been, yes. It has been. But on the other hand, of course, patients have to be able to afford it. So it has been also our job to make sure that affordability.
Are the knockoffs dangerous?
The knockoffs are not FDA. The API, the raw ingredient that goes into them, are not FDA approved. So nothing is as good as the original.
Yeah, I know that.
Yesterday in the Supreme Court, Chief Justice Roberts said that tariffs are taxes and that they're paid by Americans. He said this pretty clearly. And yet you're saying that this money is rolling in from other countries. How do you square those two?
Well, it is. It's coming in because they've charged us. You know, those same countries that you talk about are charging us massive amounts of money. If you look at the tariffs over the years that were put on our heads, there's a reason we're $38 trillion owed. Now that money's going to start coming down.
Let me jump in for a moment. The Americans, if we have a tariff, we pay it, right? You put a tariff on another country's goods, it's sold in the United States, we buy that good, we pay the tariff. It is a tax on Americans. The argument is that there is a cost that goes to those other nations for now having to sell here, right? Because the cost is expensive, so they may lose out on money. But there's no doubt that Americans pay the tariff. They pay the tax. It's just, this is not a debate. That's all there is to it. But that was a fantastic Q&A and back and forth. The other person you heard was the CEO of Novo Nordisk, talking about these knockoffs and this level of cost. So it was a little bit of an admission of, yeah, we got as much out of you as we could while we could, and now we're doing this. Now we're going to lower the prices. But the answer was, first things first, good on Dr. Oz. There's no such thing as free cheese. There is no panacea. Oh, yeah, everything about this. You know what? If you eat chocolate ice cream every day, 4 times a day, you know what? Boom. You're gonna lose 50 pounds, and you're going to have the greatest erections of all time. That's not the case. That is not the case. It would be great if it was the case, but it's not the case, and it involves personal responsibility. So I was very happy to hear Dave Ricks of Eli Lilly, check with your doctor. Just that easy. You and your medical professional, don't be crazy. But I thought it was interesting, Trump asking the question about the knockoffs, because he was asking that question, which was probably a curiosity, but really to say, you see what we're doing? Now you're getting the better stuff at the better price. Look what I did. That's what he was doing there. Back to the president.
As of now, but it's going up rapidly. I was in Japan, and we have Toyota is coming in with $10 billion to build plants operated by Americans, but building plants all over the United States. Well, they left. They took our plants. They sold cars in here without tariffs. They sold cars. We didn't charge them anything. They destroyed our auto industry. We lost 50%, 54% of our auto industry to other. We used to, if you go back into the 30s and 40s, we had 100% of
continuing the tariff conversations.
Then it started getting chopped away. But Mexico, Canada, many countries, I mean, Canada fought us very hard. The ones that don't want us to win are foreign countries that we are able now to do very well with. Those are the ones that fight it. Those are maybe people that hate our country. I think it's the most important case maybe in the history of our country.
This has been a major achievement for your administration, targeting the segment of our population that needs it the most, at the highest obesity rates. You're making it affordable. You are truly saving lives. That's coming from the viewers that we've had in that 1 hour that we took a little bit of a break. My question to you is, Walmart just pushed out a report that says this year's traditional Thanksgiving meal will cost 25% less than it did under the Biden administration, plus gas prices being down in the $2 region makes it more affordable to travel to grandma's house for this Thanksgiving.
I got to tell you, this is not my favorite reporter, because everything is, let me just throw the laudatory at you. There's a really interesting thing going on about Thanksgiving prices. I'll get to that tomorrow. More ahead. Keep it here. This is Tony Katz today. The conversation about the Thanksgiving meal and the prices being down, I believe that it is true, that a lot of those prices are down. Walmart, Aldi, Costco, Kroger are all offering up these specials. Kroger and Walmart and Aldi say that you can feed a family of 10 and with their meal plan for $40. Now, it doesn't include everything. It doesn't have spices, butter, things like that. You might need to make a pie or to season this, that, etc. But it's talking about giving the fundamentals, right? The stuffing, the cranberry sauce, the turkey, etc. You can't sell America yet on the idea of, oh my gosh, all the costs are better. You just can't. And I don't want the president to do that. I want him to be very honest about what it is that's happening, the work that they're doing, and here's why it's better. And this press conference about these drugs absolutely is one of those things that will go a long way. I got asked some questions. Tony, I agree with your statement regarding a government pressuring a company to sell their products at a specific price. My question, the president uses the term most favored nation price. Are the companies selling at the different dollar amount? Mike says they're going to be selling the same drug in Europe for a fraction of the price that they charge us. Europe is paying the money differently. The end user pays less, but the taxes that they charge are paying a huge portion of this. So the argument is, what kind of system do we have and do we want? Do I mind paying less for drug prices? No. Not at all. And if we're talking about, as I understand, favored nation pricing, are we sure that the pricing is all in the same place? Paid here by the consumer versus paid here by some plan that is already funded by the consumer via taxes? That's the question. My argument is not against lower prices. My argument is, how do we go about getting them? What have we changed in the regulatory structure that allows for lower prices? Or was this all done via some level of force? And if you ask me, do I want the government going about saying, hey, you're charging too much, lower that price, or else? No. I don't think that creates the end better society. So I have questions about how these deals structure. And being a guy in Indianapolis, I will reach out to Rick's and see if I can get the interview, the CEO of Eli Lilly, to kind of get a better understanding, get better details. That is my plan. I appreciate you guys being here more than anything. I think that you are, I think you're pretty fantastic. I can't thank you enough. The show continues at WIBC.com. My conversation with William Jacobson. We spoke earlier. I'm going to share that now. And the interviews are there at the YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tony Katz. So be sure to subscribe. Not only did we talk about the SCOTUS case regarding the tariffs, we talked about the Heritage Foundation and Tucker Carlson, and William Jacobson was very, 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 very direct. So that's there at youtube.com/Tony Katz. I appreciate you guys. I am back tomorrow at noon, and I'll catch you then. So you should be there. Beautiful. Take care, guys.